Indomitable Kenyans, those who have resiliently waited for a moment of hope. The moment is here. The storm is now. It is my singular, distinguished honor to invite the man you can trust, the next President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, William Musalia Mudavadi.
Asante sana. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, the country is going to experience the earthquake. I will be speaking passionately, emotionally, and honestly to the people of Kenya today. And I will ask you to lend me your ears and your eyes, and where you can, your emotions, because we must speak to Kenyans. Let me start with the salutations. Distinguished guests, starting with the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and his entire entourage who have come. That's great. I didn't know Duale was here, but that's good. My brother, Senator Moses Wetangula, the party leader of Ford Kenya, Simba. My good friend, Governor William Kabogo, the party leader of Tujibebe, hataki kubebwa, anasema tujibebe. ANC party officials in your varying capacities, the women and youth leagues in particular, the ANC manifesto experts for your excellent work, our development partners, members of the diplomatic corps who have found time to be with us as ANC members, and supporters throughout the country, invited guests observers, ladies and gentlemen, and in this particular moment, let me also acknowledge the several members of Parliament and MCAs who are here, and they shall be recognized as you go on. We are assembled here on what is going to be remembered for generations to come as one of the most defining gatherings and moments in the history of the Kenyan nation. It is not common to witness an assembly of this character, and in the regular ebb and flow of civic events in our country, gatherings of this kind do not take place on Sundays. This is the first one. I wish to thank you all for setting aside the time to be part of this parade. Also with us here today, we are several members of my family, and kindly allow me to quickly introduce to you my immediate family, beginning with my best friend and life partner, Tessie. Tessie has walked with me steadfastly over the past 32 years. She is a pillar of comfort, strength, and support, and the mother to our 3 children. As I mention their names, please rise. Moses, that is Substone, Michael, Lulu, and Marianne Atsanzale, who has spoken to us. Allow me to thank them for the support that I continue to enjoy from them and for the vicarious carrying of some of the political burdens that should be reserved for me. Thank you all for being there for me, and I love you very much. Fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, the choice of this day has been made very carefully and deliberately, because indeed people are asking me, why Sunday? For we are gathered here to mark the start of the turning wheel of the history of our country. We are at a turning point where the story and experience of our country must turn. In the past, Kenya has experienced many turning points where her history has refused to turn because there was no will to turn it. Today's assembly is different from all other assemblies of this kind before. It is because we intend to turn the history of our country. Hence, the theme of this occasion is Ni kweli tusidanganyane. It is true, let us not lie to one another. For so long, Kenyans have lived on a diet of political lies, deceit, and betrayal. Those in leadership have failed to place any useful premium on the words that leave their lips. There has been no passion in their hearts, no sincerity in their minds. And when making promises, and especially electoral promises, a wide gulf exists between the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts. Our words dissolve into meaningless vapor the very moment they leave our lips. This assembly is intended to mark the start of the end of the culture of leadership, paying lip service to the long-suffering people of this country in the spirit of our mantra, Ni kweli tusidanganyane. Accordingly, No day of the week could be more astute for the NDC of ANC, as well as our missionary and visionary agenda for this country and its people. Within Christendom, Sunday is sacrosanct. It is a day to make ablutions and oblations, a time for sacrifice and renewal. We are here, therefore, to renew ourselves, to find fresh energy and fresh commitment to the great sacrifices that lie ahead, to embrace the greater national good and interests. We are here, fellow Kenyans, to define and aim for greater loyalties and bigger dreams for our country. We are here because we have transcended narrow individual agendas. We have begun the journey to end personality cults and the impunity that goes with them, to replace them with elevated national goals, values, and agendas. Na huu ni ukweli, tusidanganyane. Fellow Kenyans, allow me therefore to thank you all who are assembled here today, as well as those who are following us through the other platforms, for being a part of this grand parade, the second Amani National Congress NDC since the formation of our party in 2015. I take great pride in the knowledge that ANC has grown with leaps and bounds. We have come way beyond the founding expectations. We have shaken off our detractors and malign forces that have attempted to slow us down, to divert us from our cause, and to wreck our party. We have gallant men and women, young and elderly, all made of sterner stuff than our detractors have imagined. We are majestically marching towards the noble goal of making our country better for the present and future generations. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to singularly thank this NDC for ratifying my presidential candidature for this year's election. This is the first major step in the direction that we are headed. You have bestowed upon me a great honor and a momentous task. I accept this assignment with a lot of humility and a sense of pride and duty. Whether the road ahead is marred with thorns or stones, heat or thunderstorms, I promise and commit that because of the confidence you have shown in me and because of your commitment to work with me, we will this time get to the promised land. The land of milk and honey. Wakati huu tusidanganyane. Join me, therefore, on a brief and truthful journey of reflection about our dear country, an audit of our hopes and the impediments that frustrate them. Where is our country, and what can we do about it? First, Kenya is broke. Let me state the obvious. Kenya is broke. Tusidanganyane. The great American patriot Abraham Lincoln admonished us to always follow the path of the truth. The fact is, he said, the truth is your truest friend, no matter what the circumstances. So the truth must be told, no matter how uncomfortable it may be to some. Tusidanganyane. Kenya's public debt is galloping towards the 9 trillion ceiling against a GDP of Kenya shillings 11 trillion. This means that for every 100 shillings of revenue collected, 70 shillings goes towards paying debt. That leaves a paltry 30 shillings for public salaries, health services, education, security, infrastructure, and all those services that fall under devolved government. Yet we are told all the time by faceless people, yani team danganya Kenya. Team danganya Kenya. Not to speak about these things to Kenyans. But we must speak about these things. We must tell Kenyans that their country is at risk of being auctioned by international lenders. Critical national assets have been mortgaged. Indeed, the whole country is now on mortgage. When we ask to be told how the SGR facility, an infrastructure project, not a security project, an infrastructure project, when we ask to be told how the SGR facility has been secured, for example, we are told in affidavits filed by the government in court, not by a stranger, but by the government in court, that it is a state secret, a high national security risk. Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly an affirmation that our sovereign debt has become a matter of national security and a risk to our security. The truth is that Kenya risks losing its sovereignty because of reckless borrowing to fund corruption. We need to save our country from the looming danger. We must tell Kenyans the truth about the so-called public-private partnerships. The private partners in these cartel-style deals are people in government, working with their close family members and cronies. These people are literally eating up the country. They are eating you up. For how long will we allow this to go on? These are the real thieves in the country. And you know what? These cartels do not even pay taxes. They are the worst burden that the country has ever had to carry. must, ladies and gentlemen, we must reject their political projects and sinister schemes. Asante. Let me proceed, ladies and gentlemen. Let me proceed. We must reject their political projects and sinister schemes in this year's elections. We are tired. I, Musalia Mudavadi, have refused to board the boat of lies. I was never trained to be a liar. I will not begin lying to Kenyans in my ripe age. Like Abraham Lincoln, I solemnly believe the fact is the truth is your truest friend, no matter what the circumstances are. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not boarding the train of lies. Let me instead tell Kenyans the truth. Reckless and irresponsible loans have sapped financial resources from the productive private sector. Kenya is on the verge of bankruptcy. Our creditors can hardly risk or lend us any more money than they have done. And now, the retiring government has resorted to scorched earth tax policies. Punitive, heavy taxation is applied to anything and everything, from airtime to fuel, electricity, agriculture, and manufacturing, and the inputs. Shouldn't Kenyans know why it is cheaper to buy imported eggs, imported milk, imported maize, imported sugar, and tomatoes? In this environment, the dignity of the Kenyan people is badly eroded. State Fuliza has turned Kenya into a pariah society. Kenyans Fuliza 1.2 billion daily. Lastly, last year, Kenyans borrowed 351 billion. Now every other Kenyan is a fugitive from Fuliza, with several disguised phones. Ladies and gentlemen, kwa hivyo tusidanganyane. Kwa ground ni kubaya. When things were this bad in ancient Greece, and intolerance was a malignant tumor, Euripides, an Athenian playwright who lived between 480 and 406 BC, had the courage to vow, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. I don't know about you, and I don't know about you either. But certainly, I don't want to live on my knees in my own country. Indeed, how can we be proud that the government has bankrupted itself and the people? How can we accept to live on our knees? Kenya is at a dangerous crossroads. The government is suffocating the goose that lays the golden egg. It is borrowing to pay salaries. Many businesses have downsized, closed down, or relocated from Kenya. The labor sector is in the intensive care unit. Education is collapsing. The health sector is in the ICU. Agriculture is dead. The transport and infrastructure sector is a conduit for corruption. The security sector is dead. The energy sector is synonymous with grand larceny. That is the highest form of corruption. We have been told that 2 billion shillings are stolen every day. The country is now hostage to robber barons. Those who should care are meanwhile engrossed in political self-preservation and grand corruption in government. Fellow Kenyans, what is happening in our country is unsustainable. If we do not create jobs for the youth and generate wealth, our country will explode. Make no mistake, we are sitting on a time bomb. Young people have lost hope in education because they cannot see the benefits. In my times, you longed to be in school. Today, our youth, and you've heard them speak, are setting schools on fire. When will we recognize that this is only the tip of the iceberg? When will we recognize the futility of telling our young man to go to school when he has 3 jobless university graduate brothers and sisters at home? When will we recognize that the political leadership of this country has failed the youth? We have behaved like rogue caretakers who rob those whose welfare you are custodians to. Young people are left with the motorbike as their only hope. Who has cheated us that this is sustainable? Agriculture is dead. Farmers across sectors are agonizing. They don't know whether to throw in the towel or to try one more season. Each year is a new season of net loss on investment. The sugar farmers, the tea farmers, the coffee farmers, the rice farmers, you name them. But nobody seems to care. For how long can this go on, fellow Kenyans? Meanwhile, because of the levels of unemployment and heavy taxation, the cost of production has gone through the roof, and the costs are pushed to mwananchi wa kawaida. And as the COVID pandemic has taken poverty among Kenyans to another level, depression has set in. Violence has overwhelmed us at home and away. That is the way it is. Tusidanganyane. Ndio tusidanganyane. The sanctity of life means nothing in our country. We wake up every day to news of murder, slaughter, and disappearances of persons. Even when several dozen bodies are discovered in gunny bags in a river, it is business as usual. Even when poor Kenyans are buried alive in a mine, we are unmoved. Young people are slaughtered like goats every day. Nobody is moved. What have we become, fellow Kenyans? And where is your government? When all this is happening, where are the handshake partners? We have lost sight of the meaning of government. Government is now about formalized corruption through budgeting to steal. We have allowed the criminal mind to take over the budgeting process. It budgets for corruption. Once upon a time, armed with a new constitution, we swore that it would not matter who becomes the president, for we believed that we would all get our share of development regardless of who is in charge. Today, alas, today, we all want to line up next to the president to beg for development. This is because revenue and loans are acquired for the singular purpose of being stolen. Hardly anything is left for development. The Auditor General's report for 2019 shows that stalled projects, which we continue to borrow billions to run into mind-boggling trillions. Tusidanganyane. Times like these require a focused, level-headed, visionary, and truly patriotic and selfless leader and leadership. That leadership is speaking to the nation here, now. I want to be your next president, and I trust through the will of God of all creation, you will give me the opportunity to get our country out of the morass of decay and place it back on track where it once was. It was indeed Africa's undisputed tiger nation that competed head and shoulder above the rest of the tiger nations in the 1960s. Why do I want to be president? Let us be honest. Wakati wa kudanganyana umekwisha Kenya. Let's not lie to each other that economic recovery is a touch-and-go affair. Kenyans have the right to ask this question of all those offering themselves to lead. Why are you seeking to be president of a corrupt and broke country? My answer is straightforward. I desire to lead the change back to economic prosperity. To reclaim the soul of our country, to offer trust that I will always tell Kenyans the truth. Do what I say and not promise what I cannot do. I ask Kenyans to trust me since I come with clean hands, experience, and I acknowledge that there are problems to be dealt with. I ask Kenyans to rally around the ANC's Uchumi Bora Pesa Mfukoni clarion. This is not the usual empty rhetoric Kenyans have gotten used to. Sio kudanganyana. Unlike some eccentric experiments being bandied around, Uchumi Bora Pesa Mfukoni is about creation of wealth and employment. It is not a celebration of poverty. I am indeed glad that our competitors cannot avoid invoking Uchumi Bora Pesa Mfukoni whether as a slip of the tongue or old age plagiarism. Uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni, is a strategy to the economy and put money where it helps most, in your pocket. Remember, you are only safe if your neighbor is safe too. Therefore, uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni, is about moving sovereignty to shared economic benefits for all. No one will be left behind or be discriminated. Hata hustlers wanahitaji uchumi bora. Na pesa mfukoni. Nirudie. Hata hustlers wanahitaji uchumi bora na pesa mfukoni. Together, we will do it. Kenyans, let me touch on the issue of quality leadership. Look for quality in leadership and abandon those with the trust deficit and deceit. Trust issues have a very special place in my heart and in my life. A person must be as good as his or her word. If your word cannot be your bond, then you are not good even for the ash pit. Leaders must be the salt of the nation. If they have lost trust or are untrustworthy, then they have lost all the flavor of the salt of leadership. As we close into the critical moment when Kenyans must decide, I caution my compatriots, beware those who can never be trusted. Fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of the change you have been yearning for is here with us. On 26th December last year, I sent a warning that it would not be business as usual this year. In fact, I said I would be unpredictable. And it is not going to be business as usual. As the saying goes, the time has come when we must scatter them and gather them. Scatter them and gather them. Yes, we are going to scatter them and gather them for the sake of our country. And we start today, here, now. Starting now and in the coming days, ANC will be seeking partnerships on the journey that we are now embarked upon. There is no shortage of friends, of goodwill, and good intent to partner with. For the avoidance of doubt, let me state this in plain words. We may not know who is going with us or who will be our comrades at arms on this mission. But we know who they will not be. They will not be those who cannot be trusted. Those whom you trust at your own risk. have traveled with untrustworthy persons before, and even when we have given them another chance to redeem themselves, they have failed miserably by returning to their old mischief. It is true, after all, that bad manners die hard. We shall no longer countenance the company of those who cannot be trusted. No, never again. For the avoidance of doubt, and now I repeat, for the avoidance of doubt, the ANC stand, which I am privileged to pronounce, is that the spectre called Azimio is not an option when it comes to partnership. Indeed, this thing is neither an Azimio nor about unity. It is about the self-preservation of some cunning individuals. The patterns are only well-known and predictable. Wamepoteza frequency na network. We have had enough of these self-preservation schemes. Tumechoka. Enough is enough. Tusidanganyane. We will not work with you. Meanwhile, I pledge to place my fellow citizens disposal, I pledge to place at my fellow citizens' disposal my solid, tested, and proven ability to restore the Kenyan economy from the doldrums. The present predicaments are not different from the economic meltdown that I successfully handled in the early 1990s as Kenya's finance minister. The country was broke. Kenya was an international pariah. Bilateral and multilateral lenders shunned us because borrowed sovereign money had gone down corrupt throats. Just like now, I restored macroeconomic stability that resuscitated Kenya's economy and spurred its growth. I established the Kenya Revenue Authority to protect domestic revenue from being stolen. I made Central Bank of Kenya an independent entity, therefore closing avenues of graft under foreign exchange control regimes. The lenders came back, and our economy was soon back on its feet. Today, however, there's an embarrassing national ritual of adjusting the debt ceiling upwards all the time. It is deceit bordering on criminal intent. I'm therefore boldly stepping out of the shadows to caution the government against borrowing expensive, easy to embezzle commercial loans with short repayment periods. This is because I have what it takes to change course. I may not have the fabled Midas touch, but yes, trust me, I can. Once again, the great Abraham Lincoln famously said, by all means, don't say if I can, say I will. I am stepping forward to do what I know must be done to save this country. So I say, I will. What should we do as a nation? Under the Uchumi Bora Pesa Mfukoni mantra, ANC is looking beyond the 5-year term of government to implement appropriate policies to support faster economic growth. Targeted for immediate action will be to implement measures to contain the economic meltdown through a national economic recovery plan. And they'll be in the manifesto. You will see I have listed several areas that we can touch to achieve this goal. Secondly, we must have prudent management and focus on the reduction of public debt. This will mean restructuring public debt, the debt portfolio, with an emphasis on renegotiating our foreign debts to progressively reduce expensive borrowing. We will acquire and use debt prudently without straining Kenyans by creating a debt regulatory institution within the first year of the ANC government. And on this, I must say that one of our members, Honorable Sakwa Bunyasi, has indeed tabled a bill in Parliament to address this issue. And for 1 year, that bill, for nearly 1 year, that bill is being taken in circles because people don't want us to establish the truth of our debt position. We will make sure that we decriminalize taxation and make taxes unavoidable but affordable. Unavoidable but affordable. In support of this, we will strengthen stringent anti-corruption laws, making anti-corruption agencies efficient to stop theft in public procurement and enforce transparency and accountability in government. From henceforth, we want to make sure that the report of the Auditor General will not be the refuge of thieves, but the basis of criminal investigation and prosecution of offenders. We will want a fair tax system that allows everybody to do business and to survive. I don't think there's a Kenyan who wants to avoid tax deliberately, unless it's a criminal. But they do not want punitive taxation. They want a taxation that is fair. We shall deliver. We want agriculture, which contributes 27% to GDP, 75% of our raw materials, 65% of our export earnings, and 60% of the total direct employment, and nearly 47% of our nearly 47% of our population is food insecure. At any one time, 2 to 4 million Kenyans are on food relief. We must reverse this. The NC government will pursue a Kenya Kwanza policy. In agriculture and manufacturing, we will boldly put first the interests of the Kenyan farmers and entrepreneurs and will vigorously subsidize the cost of inputs to make Kenyan products competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, we must make devolution work. The constitutional basis for devolution is the actual transfer or surrender of political and economic power authority and resources to counties, and not the current patronizing belief that devolution is delegation of duties to counties by the national government. No wonder some governors are trembling. I know where the nuts and bolts of a working devolution system are needed. I vow fully to implement an effective devolution system as demanded by the Constitution and desired by Kenyans. Kenyans, let me speak to this one, and please listen intently. Democracy, because this is a political speech, and I must speak politics. Democracy requires eternal vigilance. An optimistic Abraham Lincoln believed that while people retain their virtue and vigilance, no administration, by any extreme of wickedness or folly, can very seriously injure the government in the short space of 4 years. That is what Abraham believed. Of course, Lincoln had not reckoned with the rogue administration in the USA and less enthusiastic and constitutional shy ones in Kenya. Had he done so, he would not have underrated the determination of rogue administrations to injure democracy in a very short time. Kenya is a constitutional multi-party state, guaranteeing far-reaching rights and freedoms to all Kenyans. This has been achieved through untiring struggles of tears, blood, and death. It behoves any leader in this country to lead Kenyans in nurturing our nascent democracy. But there is sinister counter-democracy insurgency creeping into our governance system. Anti-people plots are afoot to curtail and defeat not only rights and freedoms, but also electoral democracy. These shenanigans are aimed at subverting fair, free, and verifiable elections by crippling political parties. This is reflected in shameful maneuvers to assault and curtail Kenyans' political rights to associate and freely choose their leaders. Yaani wanataka hata watuchagulie marafiki na watupimie hewa. Some shadowy elements are busy attempting to coerce, intimidate, and impose hand-picked leaders. This is a perilous road that can only lead to civil strife. We must certainly be reminded that the stability of this country is derived from the legitimacy bestowed through popular elections. Through popular elections. In the forthcoming elections, the people of Kenya as a sovereign have the duty, as warned by Lincoln, not to overthrow, and I quote, not to overthrow the Constitution, like some want, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. I wish to repeat that. These elections, Lincoln would have said, our intention is not to overthrow the Constitution, like some want, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. Uongozi bora na uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni, other than tackling corruption in the theft of resources, seeks to also fight political corruption by strengthening and protecting the independence of our institutions of government and of constitutional commissions and offices. We will use this protective shield to shelter and embolden important institutions such as the judiciary and labor movement. It is tragic that the robust labor movement that played a stunning role in securing Kenya's independence has been vandalized and cannibalized by clueless and clownish self-serving leadership. Under my watch, the labor movement is going to regain its sense of purpose and respectability as the middle house between employers and their employees. It will not be a clownish cowboy club that labors for a few individuals who openly boast and display the trappings of massive opulence whose sources remain smoky and mysterious. Ladies and gentlemen, for the workers of this country, can you imagine if Tom Mboya woke up today? If Dennis Akumu woke up today? If Sami Muhanji woke up today? If Peter Kibisu woke up today? If Chadu Kadongo woke up today? What would they find? It is worrying how these groups have bastardized state institutions by weaponizing them for selfish ends. The war against corruption is on the limp because of weaponization of the entities that should be fighting graft in the country. They have been politicized and personalized for political scarecrow purposes and prosecution of dissent. Individuals who do not toe a particular political line are targeted day in, day out for witch hunt through state agencies. This must not be allowed to go on. We stand up against political arm twisting and kidnapping of state entities for selfish missions, even way before we form government. And when we get there, there will be things of the past. Ladies and gentlemen, as I draw close to the end, finally, let me say something because there are groups that are dear to me, special groups, and they are vulnerable. The country's maturity is measured by how it treats its vulnerable populations. The minorities, the youth, women, and people with disabilities. These special people face perennial challenges and risks. These populations have to grapple with social, economic, and political exclusion, in addition to the disadvantages of inadequate skills, unemployment, lack of capital to fund startups, and lack of business support and extension services to cultivate businesses. It is therefore not a choice, but a duty to integrate them in the development agenda of this country. And I wish to assure you that ANC will do that. For the youth, let me say that I have a particularly soft spot in my heart. I believe in giving the youth an opportunity to play important roles in the country. I am reminded that I became myself, a minister at the youthful age of 29. I therefore wish to give you my word that on this we shall walk together. You have even seen the Secretary General of ANC as a signal of what we stand for. Women, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, I need to reassure you that we will work and make sure that the gender rule that is demanded of the Constitution will be implemented. We will assure you that we will genuinely secure your 30% opportunities that you're supposed to have when you're tendering for business. We will implement it appropriately. That is something you can take to the bank. Persons with disabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 million people living with disabilities in Kenya. The Constitution recognizes the right of people with disabilities to be treated with dignity and have equal access to social facilities. It also recognizes Braille, sign language, and other accessible formats as official languages in Kenya, and the right to participate in public life as essential to creating an active citizen. The Constitution further requires 5% of all elective and appointive positions in public be taken by people with disability. However, this has not been achieved in spite of the act that was passed in Parliament. It is an assignment ahead of us. Pastoralists and pastoralism. About 80% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. Pastoralism forms 95% of household incomes. And these communities contribute 13% to GDP. But the great potential in the arsile regions is yet to be fully realized. I want to assure you, as ANC, and as you will see in the manifesto, we want to work hand in hand to tackle this issue so that the untapped potential can be unleashed for our country. Ethnic minorities and marginalized communities. Let me tell you that we have both large, small, powerful, powerless, dominant, and subject, and also rural and urban marginalized groups, diverse. 3 million members of ethnic minorities and marginalized groups are found in 26 counties. They suffer consequences of being few in number and are often despised, ridiculed, barred, ignored, devalued, and are underrepresented and unemployed. Let me make it very clear. As ANC, we want to work with them. Foreign policy, in a nutshell, without going into too much detail, we would like to recommend that the principles around Uchumi Bora, Pesa Mfukoni, as put out in the ANC manifesto, become a guiding principle for our foreign policy, and indeed to make us put Kenya Kwanza in whatever we do and whatever we negotiate. We must not mortgage our country. We must make sure that trade benefits us. And importantly, we also intend to intensify protection of Kenyans in foreign nations in a quid pro quo sequence in accordance with internationally accepted protocols and conventions. We will not stand by as Kenyan workers abroad are molested and killed. Fellow Kenyans, for all the pragmatic interventions I have outlined above, to see the light of day, we must work together. The first handle is the coming elections. Board this ship that I intend to command to the lighthouse ahead. I cannot therefore resist the beautiful words of our national anthem that invoke the Kenya we want. Let one and all arise, with hearts both strong and true. Service be our earnest endeavor, and our homeland of Kenya, heritage of our splendor. Firm may we stand to defend. Ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, I wish to thank all those who have participated in making this NDC the great success that it has been. I will not mention all your names. However, I recognize your great work through the chairperson of the steering committee, Senator Petronila Locorio. Please accept my highest regard for your brilliant industry. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Tuweke Kenya kwanza. Asanteni.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is that moment. This is that earthquake moment. This is that storm. And as the principals come back to sit, Solomon Kubwa, karibu. DJ, switch to Solomon Kubwa. Okay.
Wapi kelele kwa Yesu, mupe Yesu shangwe na vigelegele, haleluya.